Hello and welcome to the Thread to Mend podcast. My name is Taylor and I come to you from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is a podcast about all the things that are fiber related. I mostly touch on the subjects of knitting and spinning. I'm really passionate about processing raw fiber from the fleece to skeins of yarn to knit garments like sweaters and shawls and stuff like that. I'm wearing my Ella yoke by Ella Gordon. It is knit in Jamieson and Smith, and I love this sweater. It's finally cool enough for me to wear. It's a nice open boat neck, so it's nice for the fall season because it's not stifling, but it is rather warm. And I'm coming to you from my floor because my phone's plugged in while I record this episode. So it'll be rather short. I have a bit of a throat thing happening, so I'll be drinking from my mug. This is a gift from a student of mine who knows I love cats and I love yarn. So I have just one thing to show you and some chatter. So the first is that I have a giveaway for my YouTube subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed, I hope that you will. Please give this video a thumbs up too so that other people see it. And to enter to win this giveaway, all I ask is you be a subscriber, like this video, and leave a comment below to enter. So I'd love to know your name, where you come from, and what you're most passionate about doing with wool fiber. I love to wash fleeces and spin yarn and knit that yarn I spun into things. And so my prize for you all is a skein of my hand spun yarn. It is a Cormo fiber that is a 2-ply construction that I hand combed and dyed in the wool with goldenrod. I believe alum was my mordant for this yarn. It is a very even, light fingering weight yarn, and I will measure the grams and yardage for you all, but I just have been holding on to this. I have so many yellows and I thought I could give one skein of yellow up to one of my listeners, just to help me grow this channel. So if you're open to sharing this YouTube channel with anyone you know, please share it so others see that it's there. Yeah, so thanks for entering to win, and I will add a few things to this package to make it a little extra. So just know that it's packaged with love from me to whoever wins. I will pick a winner at random over the next couple weeks, and I'll make my announcement in the next podcast episode. So how are you? I hope that you're well. I'm doing rather well. I have a little bit of a thing in my throat, as I mentioned, but all is good. I was really excited to see a new CONTRAPOINTS video come out yesterday on YouTube. If you haven't watched CONTRAPOINTS before, I really strongly suggest you watch some of their videos. Very informative. It'll get you completely up to speed on my politics if you care to know, because I don't think there's a single video that CONTRAPOINTS has put out that I haven't 100% agreed with and also learned from. So if you're into political activism or just kind of grasping perspectives of the world that could be different than yours or the same, I'll link below to the CONTRAPOINTS video channel for you to check out because it's one of my favorite things on the internet right now. I haven't really made a whole lot of progress on any of the projects I showed you in my last episode, although I did rip back on my Daydreamer sweater and I reknit those rows, which was quite a few. I think I realized what I did after the fact when I could no longer look to see and confirm, but I think I know what mistake I made, so I can make sure to avoid that in the future. Such a relief. I'm finding that the Isegar 25 gram mohair skeins, they really run out quickly than you'd expect. I only have what I think is like 4 or 5 inches on the sweater and I'm already done with the first skein. So I hope I have enough. I should. I would hate to have to buy more because the sweater is already costing me so much money. I really wish I had all the money in the world to buy all of the yarn and support every small business, but it's so impossible for me. I was at a yarn festival yesterday local to my area, and there was this gorgeous yarn there by Magpie, and I calculated what it would cost for me to make a sweater, and it was like $150. And I just can't do that right now. I don't know what to do about that, but I wish I could just buy all the yarn. I'm thinking to, I might have to replan my budget for Rhinebeck this year, because if I want to buy a fleece and I want to buy yarn, I need to make sure that I'm making the right decisions for myself. And yeah, I don't know why I'm on that random tangent, but I just wish I had more money to spend frivolously on more and more sweaters. And also, I feel like I need to always remember the investments I've made in my fleeces and know that those fleeces will become yarn if I spin them, and I will have the sweater quantities I need with that hand spun. It's just that you don't get that excitement of buying the yarn already made, like knowing you can just cast on right now with whatever sweater you can imagine, I guess. But I have sweater quantities of yarn in my stash. I think I need to pull them out maybe and like squish them and sniff them and know that they're really there for me to kind of prepare myself for knitting before going to a fiber festival, where I always talk myself out of making purchases because I'm erring on the side of caution financially, and then, you know, I'm always calculating the cost without sort of envisioning what, like, the value of the garment that is finished and the time spent knitting it. I think too that when I'm at festivals and I see all the yarn, I envision the big long cardigans that take like 6 to 8 skeins that I would love to own, but are a little bit too expensive for me to knit. So I think that if I don't know, I need to make sure that I've assigned a project to all the yarn that I have, and that I have intentions of consuming those skeins of yarn in my craft before buying more. I don't know, we'll see. I mean, it's like, what are you gonna do with less than 6 skeins of worsted weight? I have 4 skeins of worsted weight in my stash. I'm having such a hard time committing to a project with it because I fear the yarn chicken game, which I'm always playing. And so I don't know, maybe I'll find a vendor and I'll buy a sweater quantity. I make it so agonizing. It doesn't need to be. It's all good. I always like, I don't know, I like making use of the things that I have. And when you're a spinner, it takes so much longer to have the yarn available for that project in mind. And then I have yarn that I've spun for sweater projects that I just don't have all of the yarn for the full sweater yet. Like, for instance, I have this skein right here that is going to be sort of my version of a spin cycle spin yarn, kind of just like an unpredictable, color changing, stripy situation. So I'm looking for a project to work this into, but I'm only really interested in sweaters right now, and a lot of the sweater designs are like full body color work and you need more than one, or yeah, I need the main color for this skein of yarn to knit it with, and I don't have that yet, but one day soon I will. I think I need to take an inventory of my fleeces and plans for that fleece to, I guess, set aside and intend to spin for this skein to have another colorwork sweater quantity available. I did buy last year at the Green Mountain Spinnery booth, I think 6 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and because I wasn't sure if I was gonna knit my husband another sweater. I love their, let me just pull it out for you really quick. Hold on. It's actually 5 skeins. I have 5 skeins of the Sock Art Lana by Green Mountain Spinnery. This is my favorite 2-ply yarn, like that is not spun by me. I love this 2-ply yarn because it is so much like my hand spun. It's a little bit worsted, it's a little bit woolen, it's a little, it's not a little thick and thin because I'd say it's rather consistent, but it's a little tweedy. There's a little color variation, little hay. But I just love this yarn, and it wears like a machine. It wears like iron, I would say. It doesn't pill in the slightest. My spouse wears his sweater constantly, and it has no pilling in the sleeves at all. Whereas my Jamieson and Smith sweater, on the other hand, is like Pill City on this forearm. I can like pick off whole balls of yarn, and it's just fuzz galore. But this is perfect, and I can't get enough of their yarn. I'm thinking about placing a wholesale order to get just a lot of this in my life, and maybe naturally dye it to sell online. We'll see. I'm gonna go and squish it in person and smell it and sniff it. I got to visit their mill in July. I didn't take any footage because I was kind of embarrassed to pull out my camera, but I got to view the mill and see the whole operation, and it was really cool. I wish I lived in Vermont and could just operate a mill alongside a bunch of cool people, but Baltimore's great too. I love it here, and I need a project for these 5 skeins. I think I'm gonna knit a dress. That would be super great. And then I have even 1 extra skein from Brian's sweater in the dark black green. I could do a little color work or a little contrast color stuff in that with that one if I need more yardage. So yeah, I bought this last May at Maryland, I think, and I still haven't knit with it. So I think the issue is that I bought fingering weight, and it takes so long to knit a fingering weight sweater that I don't get it done quick enough. But I will be attending the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival this year, and I do plan to buy a fleece. If any one of you is interested in splitting a fine wool fleece with me, please let me know. It's something I did last year, and I'm really glad that I did. I could acquire new fleece to process, but not all of it at once, which if you've ever bought a fine wool fleece, you know that they're often large. So if you're interested in a fine wool fleece, let me know. I would rather kind of make that purchase with the intention of splitting it than planning to sell it per pound or something online, but I could also do that too. We'll see. So anyway, yeah, that is exciting. I'm trying to fully commit myself to really spinning yarn as much as I can, and hopefully spinning through my stores of fiber. I've invested in it, and you know, I have the means of production, so that will happen slowly and gradually, but it always happens when I have new stuff to play with. So I actually haven't knit more than just this 1 skein of the fleece I bought last year, and as I mentioned, I was able to split that fleece, so I don't have a ton of it still to knit. I just have maybe a couple pounds, but this is just the most luxurious Cormo fleece ever. And one thing I did in processing this fleece was I trimmed both ends, or not both ends, but it's a dark, naturally dark wool, and I trimmed the ends off of it that were a little sun bleached. Because it was a coated fleece, the ends became a little matted from the months that it was wearing a coat to protect it from becoming dirty. And because it doesn't wear the coat it doesn't wear the coat, you know, every month of the year, there's some sun bleaching to it. So I trimmed all of the sun bleach and all of the little matted ends off, which I was able to do because the Cormo fiber is so long that you still have quite a bit of length left even after trimming it back. So I have this really consistent and extra dark hand spun skein. And I have so much more that I can spin to make a whole sweater basically of this. It smells so good. And then I wonder if I could pair these two for nice color work design. That could be rather cool. We'll see. I love knitting with my hand spun. I just, it's like so luxurious, and it feels like, yes, I invested money into owning a wheel. I realize not everyone can spend $500 or $600 on a spinning wheel. But because I did, I can spend $50 on half of a fleece, and with half a fleece I can spin a whole sweater quantity or more and have the most luxurious fiber or yarn to make with, but still only spend like $50 for a whole sweater, which is so impossible to do now with all the really great yarns on the market. So I'm just trying to stay really passionate about spinning, because it is the most radical act, I think, in my craftivism. I wish I could support every small business out there, though. I mean, there's so much good yarn on the market these days. I was just squishing some yarn yesterday. I wish I could have bought. It was just way outside of my budget. So yeah, but I love making yarn. That is it for this episode of the Thread to Mend podcast. As always, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Taylor E. Owen. Feel free to connect with me on those social media platforms. It's where I'm the most active. And I just want to thank you so much for watching this podcast. If it weren't for you, I would hardly be making any attempt to build community and get to know other makers out there. I am so reclusive and a bit socially awkward. So anyway, it's just nice to have this avenue of communication in conversation of this craft and things like it. So yeah, I hope that you're well, and do leave a comment below if you want to enter to win that podcast giveaway. I look forward to meeting you sometime soon or just connecting with you online, and I hope that you take care and have a great day.